I mean, we are living in a fascinating time, man. You know, those man in 160 words is showing the true self of people, man. You know, you can live for years not knowing somebody, but in a second, 160 words can show somebody for who they really are. And that is one of the real amazing things about this. What was once beloved, people say children's author out there, but she's made stories that have won fans over of all ages, all over the world. J.K. Rowling. 5 years ago, if you were to talk about J.K. Rowling, people said, you know what, that woman has entertained me so much, has changed my life with the Harry Potter stories. She is such a part of my childhood. I would die for that woman. 5 years later, those same people are saying, you know what, kill that bitch. Can't stand her. What is? You take that back, what you said on social media. As I said, J.K. Rowling has gone and thrilled and enchanted children and adults of all ages for her creation of the character Harry Potter. If you haven't read the books, then you surely have seen the movies.
Harry Potter, but you have allowed your friends to die for you rather than face me yourself.
Oh, who would have known that the darkest magic out there were the Twitter words of J.K. Rowling. This woman has the trans community very angry, and of course, supporters of the LGBTQ elemental P, whatever letters are in there now. She's offended all those letters. A lot of people are angry with her. Christian, you brought this story up. You want to take lead now and tell these people what's going on? Elaborate.
Yeah, well, I mean, J.K. Rowling, like you nailed it. I mean, such a special part of many people's childhood, mine included. I loved those movies, and I love those books as well. She had such goodwill with so many people that it is weird, like you said, this kind of meteoric fall in the public opinion about her. A couple months back, I believe it was in December, maybe a little bit before that, she put out a tweet that got her into some initial hot water, which seemed transphobic at the time.
What was the tweet? Was it dress however you please, call yourself what you like? Is that it?
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can put that one up.
Yeah, dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who'll have you. Live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. J.K. Rowling says, I will not stand for it. Hashtag I stand with Maya. Hashtag this is not a drill. That refers to Maya Forstater, a British researcher who lost her job at a nonprofit think tank following a series of tweets that were criticized as transphobic. On Wednesday, a judge ruled against Forstater, who had filed a complaint against the think tank, the Center for Global Development, which works to reduce global poverty. The judge says Forstater's, I keep butchering this woman's name, Forstater's speech violated the dignity of transgender people and was not protected under UK law. Rowling sent her tweet shortly thereafter the decision became public. Now, a lot of people are very angry about not only her support of this one, but J.K. Rowling's follow-up tweets with that. And this is a very, as you might can tell, that any of these things today that where you talk about certain social issues, today Black Lives Matter being one of them and racial injustice, but you know, gender equality and LGBT, the TQ or whatever it is, that is a very, very, very sensitive topic of discussion for people too. And it's hard to bring these things up and have an opinion where it might go against the popular opinion that's already out there. But you seem to have, you kind of, from what I get from this, if I'm correct, you kind of maybe a little bit side with J.K. Rowling on what she was saying.
Okay, well, I want to amend that statement because I don't necessarily agree with her. I think she's coming from the wrong place, but I think she brought up a very interesting point with the last one, because the recent tweet that she put up, if you could put that one up very quickly, that one, she actually hit upon some kind of truth that I found interesting. which is the concept that if we ignore sex altogether, then what we're saying is that, like, think about women's suffrage. Think about that if sex doesn't really exist, right? Then why are women getting paid 76 cents on the dollar? Like, whether we like it or not, whether it's completely this subjective thing that humans have created, the false dichotomy, it's still a dichotomy. In the same way that people say, hey, races don't really exist. Sure, maybe, but racism does exist.
Let me read what she says here, by the way.
Yeah.
If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. A lot of people would even back her up a little bit, saying that Dumbledore, you know, if you've been keeping up with any of the Harry Potter history or any of the stories, including Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, then you know that it's been revealed not only Dumbledore is gay, but he's also hinted at a relationship with was it Grindelwald right here? Right. Which she kind of went in and tried to address the criticism that she got, because a lot of people said that, hey, you know, if Dumbledore is gay, why are you making it such a, why didn't you put in the books? Why are you making it such a thing after the books are done? You know, you're mentioning it, you're mentioning his sexuality without making part of the story. You just writing it in a tweet means nothing. She tried to amend that by putting a young Dumbledore in Fantastic Beasts and alluding more visually to his sexuality.
Oh, we were closer than brothers.
We the shit out of each other. You know, they, you know, as you can see, they very much put it out there without saying the words gay or, you know, alluding to any kind of sexual relationship. But they, as far as they could, said that he was gay. So a lot of people are saying that, man, why are you picking on this woman when she actually is on the side of LGBTQ rights out there? A lot of people disagree, and you're saying that she has a point with that tweet, though. There is something to talk about that. You might not agree, but there is something to say that there's a discussion to be had.
Sure, yeah, but I think the hill that she's dying on here is not differentiating sex and gender, and I think that's another thing, is we've paired those two words to be synonymous when they're not necessarily synonymous. And yes, the sex thing biologically, yeah, that you can't really argue with that. But even within our world, before like the trans thing was widely accepted, and as it should be, you know, what about intersex people? Like that is another, right? That's a third, not quite male, not quite female. They belong into another category. So it's like, even that always kind of frustrates me, because it's like she's stumbling onto a truth while kind of being ignorant about it. But I'm curious. You said you had opinions as well. I mean, come at me. What do you feel about all this?
This is what the problem is with having discussions over the internet, man. The internet is especially Twitter, man, with only having so many words to say something. The internet is it's a shortcut to saying something dumb. And it's a shortcut for people to get angry and lash out, because now that she said this, she might have a point, but man, we're getting to the place where we need to have discussions, not these short comments on Twitter about how your feelings are, man. Because now she's saying something, and honestly, I don't think it was worded correctly. Even if there's a discussion there, and I'll get into that in a little bit. You know, let's just say she might have a point, but the way she phrased it and putting it on Twitter, that's why I stay off of Twitter, man, because now she's saying something, it's coming off a little insensitive, and now people who used to love her are straight up saying, I hate you. Is a quote from a Twitter user. I decided not to kill myself because I want to know how Harry Potter's story ended. For a long time, that was all that kept me alive, until I met my husband, who helped me learn to love myself and want to live. You insulted him to my face. I hate you. That's a strong, those are strong words. That's a strong feeling. You know, this is what happens online, man, when people do this. People say something dumb, and then people just get very heated to saying things that, you know, are just very emotional, that are sometimes maybe a little extreme. Let me just go to something here that makes me criticize all of this. Her tone is very, very insensitive, man, for what she wanted to talk about. This is what I'm talking about, having discussions on Twitter. This is I think it's kind of a shitty way to put it. I'm not saying that she's transphobic or anything like that, but I think that the way she phrased things, not the best way to go at it, man. J.K. Rowling put here, people who menstruate. She put that in quotes. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Woman, wimpun, whoopin, opinion. Creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate. You know, and right there, you know, the way
that's shitty.
Yeah, that's shitty, man. The way she's like, that's sarcastic. That is no way to go in and talk about people who, by the way, and I'm gonna put this out here, and I'm really trying to find a middle ground here, and see the both sides. But man, as a white straight woman, she probably has no right to come up here and talk down to these people and talk about how they feel and their problems. Me as a black straight male has no right to go in and like try to talk down to people who I have no association with or don't understand what's it like to be in their position or their sexual orientation. I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying don't have your opinions. I'm not saying that there's a rule on how you say things, but man, I think there is a certain more sensitive approach to talking about these things instead of like saying something in a shitty, smart ass manner and insulting people. That's my biggest takeaway, man. So social media is a poison when it comes to that. It keeps us from having discussions. She might have a point. I see what she's trying to say, but she's saying it in a very, very wrong way, man. Though, you know, social media overall, and keep in mind I said social media, but Twitter right now is one of the places that's seen as more mainstream, and it's really not the most constructive places for conversations, man. Conversations that probably should be had and aren't, different opinions that we should be able to share in a way. Like, listen, transphobic and or transgender and any kind of LGBTQ kind of discussion, that is not a place where you just don't stay away. If you have something to say about it, say it. You know, it is not a, you know, that's not protected, like, you know, from being talked about and discussed like any other thing out there. If you have opinions about it, talk about it, even if it's unpopular. But I don't think getting online and saying it in these quick bites is helpful at all. Those are not discussions. Those, you know what they are? They're remarks and reactions. There's no in between that happens with that all the time.
I just keep looking at it, and I think that the phobia part of it is always a matter of like, you just don't know some trans people. I think if you just look at phobic people in general, it's a lack of education or understanding. There's this line in Beauty and the Beast. Sorry, this is a weird tangent, but it's in the opening song. It's like, we don't like what we don't understand, right? And It's like, yeah, the less you know about something, the more something is the other, the more you're going to be shitty about it. So I just look at it like that, which is like, you just don't know. You just don't know, and you don't want to know, and you're using your experience as the ability to discriminate against other people. And yeah, she stumbled into a point, but she needs to understand that her point falls apart because she's conflating sex and gender, which are two different things.
I can't, man, I'm telling you. That's why I tell you, some things in life just don't have a price on them, like common sense. But goddamn, $1 billion, and you still that can't still buy you common sense. I'm not a billionaire, and I got enough sense for right now to stay the fuck off of Twitter talking about things that I'm not sure about, or trying to talk about people whose position I'm not in. God damn, boy, you know, I've never understood. I mean, that goes to show you that when you have some money, you ain't got shit else to do but sit around and poke other people and start shit. You got to keep.
That's what I was trying to say, man. Like, you're looking at it the wrong way. Like, if I ever became a billionaire, I'd become a super villain. I know myself. I feel like, how do you have that much money and not become an evil piece of shit?
Well,
because inherently it corrupts people.
Yeah, believe me, she's on her way if she ain't careful. This woman here that got fired from the nonprofit, Maya Forstater, this follows after the statement that she made, and I don't agree with her statement. And believe me, like I said, I don't think discussions about maybe even unpopular topics with the trans community or the LGBTQ community is off limits. They're not off limits to any kind of discussion. But I don't agree with the way people phrase things and put their words in to talk about people that they don't have to, the people whose problems they don't have to deal with the same way. Forstater wrote here that this is one of the things that got her fired. I wouldn't try to hurt anyone's feelings, but I don't think people should be compelled to play along with literal delusions like trans women are women. You know, who are you to say?
Yeah, bad, man.
You know, I mean,
just really bad. Because again, literal delusions. You're taking your experience and saying that's the experience for everyone. I make the decisions on what is and isn't. That's so ignorant, man.
Yeah. I really don't understand I don't understand why this shit is so complicated for some people. You know, to the point where you're saying shit online to get your ass in trouble and get you hated by people. It's that simple. Just say woman. How hard is it? You want to do something the right way? I encourage people. God damn, we got so much technology at our disposal right here to do some great things with. And all we want to do is start shit with it. J.K. Rowling probably got enough money to buy Zoom. And she could even probably invent her own video conferencing or streaming service. Or better yet, use the shit that's already out there. And instead of putting out this little caption where it can get misconstrued or is worded in a way that insults people, why don't you get online and invite people in for a discussion? Why don't you make a longer video to like kindly and sensibly have these conversations or arguments or share your thoughts? No one's saying you shouldn't share your thoughts at all. I am against shutting anybody up. Please speak your mind. But just keep in mind how you say it. And then try to do it in a form where it can be a little more sensitive to people's feelings. I don't get it. Boy, I tell you what, this is awesome though, Christian. This is great, man. I mean, I'm talking about how Twitter and everything is kind of f***ed up on how people use it to say things that could hurt other people or anger other people. But I mean, we are living in a fascinating time, man. You know, those man in 160 words is showing the true self of people, man. You know, you can live for years not knowing somebody, but in a second, 160 words can show somebody for who they really are. And that is one of the real amazing things about this.
I will just say that I am totally an ally, but I feel like I'm very ignorant as well on a lot of this. So if I said something wrong, I apologize. Please educate me because I want to be a proper ally, and I can't do that if I'm espousing dumb shit. So come at me.
That is so true. These terms are getting longer than the alphabet, and I can tell you right now, I don't know all of them. And I'm gonna slip up and call somebody the wrong thing. But instead of getting mad at me, just tell me where I messed up. Tell me, you know, course correct me. Say I want to be called this, or this is the proper term. Even if I don't get it, maybe I even disagree. But if it's respectful to you and that's what you want, it's not hurting anybody else, you got it, man. It ain't that hard. That's it.